guys, welcome to this week's episode of Downton Gabby, the Downton Abbey chat show. So let's set the scene. Anna moved back into the big house last week, and Bates is determined to find out what's wrong and why she won't even look at him. He wants to know, of course. So let's talk about something else for right now. We'll get back to that. There is a new lady's maid in the house because evil Edna is gone, and her name, or last name, which she will be called by, is Baxter. And she brings in Cora's breakfast tray, and she's all, ooh, what's this? And Baxter's like, I know that Americans like to have orange juice with their breakfast, so I brought you this. And Cora is like, I love you! So she really likes her already, and it's really early on. So it's a good sign for Baxter. Alright, so Mary finds out via newspaper that Tony Gillingham and Maybelline Fox are now engaged. So he said it was going to happen if she said no to his proposal, and it happened. So can you say frazzled? She looked pretty upset. And then later on in the episode, she was writing a letter of congratulations to him, and you could see her wiping away the tears. So that was pretty sad. But anyway, back to the Anna and Bates situation. So Anna and Mrs. Hughes are talking about her secret in one of the hallways, and Mrs. Hughes is basically like, please tell Bates because you're torturing both of you. So Bates overhears this conversation, and he goes and talks to Mrs. Hughes, and he's like, what is this secret? Like, tell me now or I'm gonna resign. Did I just get blood on my shirt? He's like, my hand is bleeding. He's like, tell me now or I'm gonna resign. And she's like, oh, well, we can't have that. So he gets the info from Mrs. Hughes. And one thing that she leaves out is that it was Mr. Green. Anna and Mrs. Hughes are saying, like, oh, it was some, like, stranger who broke into the house and was, like, waiting for someone to come downstairs. So he figures out pretty quickly that it was Mr. Green because it's obvious. Just the way that he was treating her while he was at the house, come on. Come on. So the saddest part of this all, well, there's a lot of sad things about this, but one of the saddest parts of this was when the conversation was over and Bates was just standing outside of the room bawling. It was so sad. I need to move on. So the kitchen crew usually brings on the laughs. They're like the more lighthearted storylines right now. So Daisy especially and the rest of the kitchen crew are trying to get Alfred ready for his test to get to take the course at the Ritz in London. And the top 4 people after that test get to take the course. So they're trying to teach him all the basics and get him ready. And turns out he was accepted to take the test. Yay! So Carson's like, WTF am I gonna do? I need another footman, because they are pretty confident that Alfred is gonna make it into the course. So he's like, I'm gonna bring in Mosley, and he asks him if he'll be a footman, and Mosley's like, oh, think about it, it's kind of beneath me. That sets Carson off. He's like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, Mosley, are you kidding me? Because he needs work, and he is saying no to work that he could easily do in a house that he likes, but he thinks it's beneath him, so, alright. We got to see a little bit of Alfred's test for the Ritz, and it was super dramatic. It was kind of like an episode of Chopped, Hell's Kitchen, Top Chef, whatever you fancy. But it turns out that he just missed out on the top 4 according to the letter, and Jimmy's like, oh, I bet they say that to everyone, and Carson's like, no, you're awesome. It's okay. So then, because Alfred is not going to the Ritz, there's no room for Mosley. And because he waited so long to give his answer, it's too late. Anyway, like, if he had said immediately, yes, I'll take the job, then Carson was like, I would have been stuck with you, but you took too long. So he blew it. Alright. Isabel is continuing her charitable work. She's got one every episode. So this time she's asking the Dowager Countess to give this young guy whose family is really hurting a gardening job. and she's like, "Ugh, do you have to help everyone?" But she finally agrees, and then later on in the episode, the Dowager is like, "Where's my paper knife?" She's thinking that this new guy, I think his last name was Pegg, it was like John Pegg or something, stole her paper knife. She needs that. How is she gonna open letters? And it's from like the King of Switzerland or something. So it's a BFD. But she's really suspicious of this garden guy. She's ready to get rid of him. Isabel's like, "How do you know it was him?" I'm gonna say it right now. This gets resolved next week, so sit tight. But anyway, I'm not gonna say what happens, but it gets resolved next week. So, I want to know, how do Thomas and Baxter know each other? Because she is so nice and kind and helpful and like willing to work with others and stuff. And he is Thomas. So I want to know how they know each other, where did they meet, how did this come to be? But it seems like he's using her niceness to get information from her because everyone is in favor of her, unlike, what's her face? What was her name? I already forgot her name. She's already gone. O'Brien. Unlike O'Brien, who everyone hated, other people are going to be more willing to give her information so then she can give him that information. But I just don't understand how they know each other. Maybe we'll find out in the coming weeks. But also, what's going on with Edith? Her boyfriend is in Germany. She hasn't heard from Michael. She's getting nervous. And she takes a mysterious trip to a doctor in London. You have to wonder why she didn't just go to Dr. Clarkson, but I don't know. Alright, so some sad news. There was a death in this episode, but it wasn't really a main character. It was probably someone that no one would ever even, like, know who it was. It was one of the farming tenants on the estate. Or not the estate, in the, whatever, the land that they own. So the son of the farmer was like, "I want to pick up where my father left off. I want to farm this land." And Mary and Tom are all ready to like end this lease, and they want to bring the farm back into the estate and have the estate run that farm. And the guy talks to Robert. He's like, "Oh, the Crawleys and my family have been like bleh, for years and years." So Robert's like a traditionalist, and he's like, "We got to help you out." So he tells him that he's going to lend him money until the guy can pay back the debts. So Mary and Tom didn't know that he was lending him this money, but when they found out, they're like, "Ugh, he's a great guy." But whatever. They decided to let the guy stay on the farm, so that was nice. It was a nice little... Okay, so this episode had a lot of great moments, but one of the best, maybe the best, was when Evelyn Napier returned. Ah! So he was on an episode or two in the first season when he showed up with his friend, our good friend, Kamal, or did I say that right? Is it Kamal Pamuk? Was it Kamal? Did I just make that up? Mr. Pamuk. So I think it was Kamal. He's an old friend of the Crawleys, childhood friend of the girls. And he's so cute. He's had a crush on Mary for like the longest time. Hi! So Mary seemed really excited to see him, and he's like, "Yo, I'm working on a government study. I was in the area. I thought I'd say hey." So she's like, "Well, how long are you gonna be here? You should stay here." And he was like, "Well, my boss is here." And she's like, "Whatever." So, turns out Evelyn and his boss, Charles Blake, will be staying at Downton. Alright, so he is no Matthew, of course, because Matthew is like, but he's pretty good. He's just such a sweetheart, it seems like. He's got like a Hugh Grant thing going on too, with blonde hair. But I'm excited. That is gonna be a huge story in the rest of the season. I'm not gonna say anything, but things are gonna be exciting. Next week's gonna be wild, I'll just say that. Alright, so we find out at dinner or lunch, I can't remember which one, at the table, that Tom is feeling left out and he's thinking about moving to America permanently with baby Sibby. No! Oh my god! He is like so important to the family now and they love him. he can't leave. But they don't really address that in the rest of the episode. So, yeah. Bates finally gets to talk to Anna about what happened. He knows now what happened. And Anna's like, oh, I'm so glad you know now. And she's like, there won't be any more secrets in the future. Really? Because you're still not telling him who it was. You're lying about that. But anyway, Bates is the best. He's like, what are you talking about? I love you more than ever. It's getting better. So she's moving back into the cottage. She's like, I love you. It's all good. Yes. So that was all heartwarming and everything. But the episode ended on a rather chilly note. Bates was talking to Mrs. Hughes, I'm getting all mixed up, about the situation. Mrs. Hughes was like, oh, I'm so glad that it's over and done with and everything's back to normal. He's like, oh, what are you talking about? It's not over. Bates wants freaking revenge. He is ready to bleh. So, it's not over. And it was like, ooh, I got goosebumps. Alright, so next time, Edith. She's Michael-less. She gets a mysterious letter. What's that all about? We'll find out. Napier and Blake are arriving at the house. Hi! And there's some like row meow between Mary and Blake, so. And there's some more Isabel versus Violet. Everybody loves that. So until next time, much love.
Edit.